What up, y'all? It's your man, Abuamerican. I was asked this question some time ago by JBEasy63. He's a follower of mine. Cool dude. Got his channel. Go check it out. Now, he asked me why I got something or why I have something against the Black Lives Matter movement. And he asked me this a long time ago, and I wanted to get around to answering it, but I just haven't had time to really, get into it. And I've always had my answer, but, there's always stuff going on inside of my head. So, it's always got kind of pushed to the background. Nonetheless, I want to take time to answer this question for multiple reasons. First and foremost, because what's going on in Milwaukee now, and secondly, because with video sometimes I get the equivalent of writer's block, and so this is something I can fall back on because I had this. Now, the Black Lives Matter movement is not really interested in saving Black lives. That's the first reason. Actually, let's get into some other stuff. Let me just what I did was I wrote an article. And I'm just going to read my article that I wrote. Basically, like I said, I'm going to cut parts out. So if you want the full details, you have to go to my website when I link it. So, Black Lives Matter was started by a group of black women. They're actually homosexual black women, gay black women. And I don't know if you noticed. I think you do better than me since you live in the United States and I don't. But, black women in general in America have a serious problem with authority, especially male authority, black male authority being the worst of all. They rebel against more than anyone else. Now, if you haven't looked at my prior videos, you will come to see that it is scientifically proven through, studies that women make poor ethical leaders. It's just a study that's been done. Deal with it, people. I don't care if you don't like it. Don't argue with the science. You don't like the science? Well, then go live in the bush somewhere without electricity and, whatever else that science has provided you with. But the science shows that women make poor ethical leaders. Were I to ask you, what is the leading cause of death for Black Americans, what would you say? Just think about it for a minute. First and foremost, it's abortion. The most dangerous place for a Black American in the world right now is in his mother's womb. More blacks are killed in the womb of their mother through abortion than any other methodology combined. Next comes heart disease. After that is, I can't remember what it was, but black and black crime is higher than white cops killing black people. Yet and still, we don't see the Black Lives Matter movement addressing these issues. Now, is it Black Lives Matter? Or is it Black lives only matter when white cops are killing black people? Because if you name the movement that, okay, fine, then I'll have to change my stance. But we're saying Black Lives Matter. But obviously they don't, because they're not addressing health issues that are affecting the Black American community. They're not addressing the abortion issue that the Black American community is dealing with. They're not dealing with the black on black crime. And I know everybody hates to say, the cops kill it, and then the white people bring up the black on black crime, and then everybody gets mad. And I understand that it's a type of derailment of the argument, but it stands very, very true that black people kill more black people than white cops kill black people. So why don't the lives matter then? They're not interested in black lives. And we're going to come to prove that in a minute. Let's look at another proof that they don't care about black lives. Louisiana. Louisiana is flooded right now as we speak. Is Black Lives Matter there helping people? Where did they show up with trucks and boats to help black people who are predominantly affected by the floods in Louisiana? No, they didn't. You know why? Because they don't care about black lives. They care about political power. And that's what they're chasing. They're chasing political power. They're not chasing up causes, problems, and solutions to black lives and black problems, or that black people face, the problems that black people are facing that are a threat to their lives. They are not concerned with that. They're concerned with political power. And that political power is actually a communist, socialist, authoritarian type of power. Black Lives Matter, like I said, is a political movement that is all about pushing a homosexual agenda, an anti-family agenda, an anti-black male in the family agenda. I'm going to prove it to you. From the Black Lives Matter website, we have the following. If you go to the section, and I have to read from my phone because I'm reading from my notes and then from my phones here, We have in their section called About Us, I think it is, or our guiding principles. So the first thing we're going to look at is where it says Black Women, the Black Women tab. They have a few other tabs, but I want to cover these points in predominance because what they're about comes out really in these ones. It says we are committed to building Black women, affirming spaces free from sexism, misogyny, and male-centeredness. So I say this: for 70 years, Black women have had control of the Black American community. 7 decades. So how's that been working out for the Black American community? We have 7 generations of thugs and thoughts. That's what 7 generations of Black female leadership has brought us. Let me ask you something. With all the female education, as educated as they've become, and they are very educated, they have master's degrees, they're really killing it in education. Despite all this, where are the Black institutions? Where are the Black communities? Where is the great benefit to the Black community and the Black people? We've had 70 years of Black female leadership. Yet the community, the Black American community, is in the greatest mess out of any community in the United States. Bar none, not even remotely close. So where's the benefit? I'll say this until the day I die. Men, be they Black, white, or whatever else, are the builders and maintainers of every society and culture. It's always been like that. It always will be. It's just genetically ingrained that we are the leaders. You don't believe me? Go shopping with a woman. Go shopping with a woman and watch how often she changes her mind, walks up and down the aisles, grabs something, puts it back, grabs something else. That's how they're going to run a community. That's how they pick a mate. And that's why you find that so many women in general, not even Black women, got such a high body count when it comes to sexual partners. Because they just don't know how to choose and stick with something. They are not leaders. Even it's socially affirmed, historically and contextually in contemporary times. The king. What happens when the king marries a commoner? The king marries a commoner. The commoner becomes the queen. He raises her status. He brings her up. If a queen marries a commoner, that man doesn't become the king. What is he? He's just a guy. He's not even a prince. He's just a regular dude who married the queen. Men raise up the status of everything around them. And we do it. And if you don't believe me, go outside and look at anything that you use on it, from railroads to the roads to the garbage to the power lines, internet, whatever else. Who built it all? Men. Women do not bring anything up. Even if we look in terms of our popular culture today, we have famous men making bum women famous. Kim Kardashian. She's a complete bum. At best, she should be an Instagram hoe. That's the best she should be. But because she made a sex tape with famous people, she's famous. They raise her status. Amber Rose, same thing. Brought up from what? Famous people. I can give you example after example after example of bum women being made great by dudes. But can you show me anything in reverse? Where are women making dudes, regular bum dudes, famous or great? They do not uplift anything. That's not what women do. They have very little agency in this department. Yet and still, you want a group that's putting women forward even further, despite proof that for 70 years they have not improved the condition of our community. Other communities have showed up to America within the 70 years. Asians, and we're talking like not the Far East Asians, they've been here for a long time, and they're doing better. The Arabs showed up later. They're doing better. Every community that shows up after African Americans have been doing better than African Americans. Why? Because they don't put their women in positions of leadership. The women don't want it because they understand how it works. But our women, look at this. Look what they're trying to do. They're still trying to ruin us. 70 years have failed, and they're still trying to go for more. So, I don't know. After reading that statement, what do you think? Look at that. Just look at the statement on its own. It says Black women affirming space. free from patriarchy. What about black men? It doesn't mention anything about black men, despite black men being killed predominantly by the police. They're not even interested in black lives. They're just concerned about power and authority. That's the reality. All right, so next we got black villages. What does it say here? We are committed to disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, and especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. So, disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family, where mothers and parents, notice they say parents, they don't say fathers in here at all. Parents. And you'll come to see that I'm right. When they say parents, they mean two women. They don't mean a man and a woman, because they said disrupting what? The prescribed nuclear family. What is that? What is the prescribed nuclear family? Husband and wife. But hey, we want these people. Leadership. Black people, huh? Again, for 7 decades, we haven't had traditional families. 7 decades, 70 years, the black community hasn't had traditional families. How's that been working out, bro? If you have any doubt about how that's been working out, I advise you to drive down the street to your local black community and tell me what you observe. And tell me how that has been working out for black Americans not having the prescribed nuclear family. Then when you're done with that, drive over to the local Asian or white community and tell me how their communities look in comparison. And they've had traditional families for 70 years. Tell me how that's been working out. After you get, pulled over by the cops and hopefully not shot and killed for driving through a white community, come back and tell me how their community looks in comparison to the black community. Next, we look at collective value. So let's look at what they say about collective value. We are guided by the fact that all black lives, regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity, gender expression, economic status, ability, disability, religious beliefs or disbeliefs, immigration status, or location. Now, I wrote something here, but something else occurred to me here, and I just want to say it like this first and foremost. Regardless of actual perceived sexual identity, first and foremost, do you really want to be around a bunch of people who can't perceive gender identity, sexual identity? What is a perceived sexual identity? Look in your pants, perceive what is there, and then you have your identity, your sexual identity. You are a male or a female accordingly. These are people who want to put other people who have mental illnesses in charge. They are pushing nothing more than a gay agenda. Perceived sexual identity? What is that? I know what it is, what they intend by it, but really, does that make any sense to you? Well, yeah, I identify as an attack Apache helicopter, and that's my sexual identity, bro. And I expect you to take me seriously. I'm going to lead the community. Economic status or ability or disability. Let me ask you this. Do you want, look at this. It's just ridiculous. Economic status, ability, or disability. What? The ability, someone with superior ability should be in charge, right? If a person can come from scratch and make himself rich or famous or whatever else, don't you think that we should follow that person's lead and say, hey, look what he did, let's follow his program? Because he obviously has the ability to lead and gain success. Or are we going to take the broke bum and say, hey, you know what, his disability, it doesn't matter, he's not living off the street because of bad choices or decisions in his life. No, he's a true leader, that bum in the box. Let me tell you something. One of the biggest mistakes we've made in the 21st century is saying that everyone's opinion counts. That can include me too. I'm not free of that. But the simple fact of the matter is, all speech isn't equal. Some people are crazy and they're talking and they are getting like public like credit and credence. Let me give you an example. I worked at a company in the UK. 280 people. One person, a guy, decided he wanted to be a woman. So he gets a gender reassignment surgery. He gets his winky wop off and he gets himself a vagina and boobs. The guy's obviously got mental issues. This is obvious. But over time, All 279 other people were pulled into offices and groups and said into meetings and told, hey, you know what? This guy wants to be called a female name. I won't say his name on here. Her name or whatever else. And his new gender pronouns are her and she and whatever else. And you are under threat of being fired for calling this man anything but a woman. 280 people held hostage to one person's mental illness because he had a problem being a man. Because he doesn't know how to be a man. So let me go be a woman and walk around wearing bras and getting my winky cut off, mutilating my body, and everyone else is supposed to just be hostage to that. Let me ask you, how the hell am I supposed to take anything that comes out of that person's mouth seriously? You don't know how to just get up in the morning, stand up peeing and brush your teeth, and walk out the door and go to work. How can anything else that you say or do really be taken seriously? You don't even know how to be what you were born. It's not complicated. Get up, eat some food, take a dump, whatever else you got to do, shave, and go to work and come home. You can't do that? Yet these people here, they want to lead an entire black community with people who are confused about their gender, sexuality, and oh my God, it's just ridiculous. Are you listening to this stuff? Let's move on. Empathy. Sounds good, right? We are committed to practicing empathy. We engage comrades with the intent to learn about and connect with their contexts. The biggest problem I have here is the term comrade. Have you ever heard anyone but a communist use the term comrade? These people are authoritarian communists. They're authoritarian socialists, which makes them communists. And if you haven't looked at the ills of communism and what they did to people in Russia, I suggest you look up the ills of Stalin and Lenin and all these guys who've executed and killed so many people who refuse to follow their social justice warrior ideologies. And that's what Black Lives Matter is. It's a social justice warrior movement. They are not concerned with black lives in the least. That's all I have to say on that part. Queer affirming. We are committed to fostering queer affirming networks. When we gather, we do so with the intent of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormative thinking, or rather the belief that all in the world are heterosexual unless he or she or it or whatever they disclose otherwise. Again, the black community is falling apart. Our numbers are dropping. We are now have, for the first time, negative birth rates. It means we're dying off. We're not only killing each other, we're getting killed by white cops. We're killing each other in terms of abortion. And now we're pushing a gay agenda, which is going to make the population drop even more. Their agenda is a gay one. Their agenda is anti-black. They are anti-black lives. They are not Black Lives Matter. They want black lives to end. They don't want to see black people reproducing. Because if they did, they would be pushing heterosexual relations so that the black population increases. But what are they doing? They're pushing a very, very strong gay agenda. Really? I mean, if you think that's okay, then I don't know what to say. If you think that's normal, if you think that's acceptable, you know, all the black males becoming a bunch of booty bandits, you know, then there's not really much I can say about that. But, you know, I got a problem with that, bro. Transgender affirming. We are committed to embracing and making space for trans brothers and sisters to participate and lead. We are committed to being self-reflexive and doing the work required to dismantle cisgendered privilege and uplift black trans folk, especially black trans women, who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. Like I said, these are people who are confused about their sexuality. Do you think they're going to be all of a sudden lucid and clear and understand what the black community needs to like bring itself out of the hellhole it's in right now? If they can't figure out their sexuality, how are they going to figure out problems of the black community? Do you really want a guy who's walking around with a lopped off, mutilated body? He's lopped off his private parts. He's mutilated himself, leading you? A person who has mutilated himself and called it normal to lead you. So, okay, I'm going to identify, since we can, sexually identify as we want. I sexually identify as a zombie. So now I'm going to go to a doctor, get my nose cut off, my lips cut off, so I'm walking around with my teeth out and my nose looking all funky, identify myself as a zombie, and I want you to take me seriously when I come and say, follow me, JV. I have the plan to lead us to success. And you're going to be like, this dude cut his nose and his lips off, and he's telling me he's got the solution to my problems. This dude has got serious problems. He just cut his body up. Really. But we want these people to exist, let alone exist but lead? Come on, bro. Don't expect me to take these guys seriously. I can't. Black families. We are committed to making our spaces family friendly and enable parents to fully participate with their children. We are committed to dismantling the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts, that require them to mother in private even as they participate in justice work. Again, this is just a repeat of them trying to dismantle male leadership in the family, which shows in general, when you look at patriarchal systems, works. They said in the prior one, what was it? Something agenda, transgender affirming. They want to dismantle cisgender. We're talking about white guys. But look what happens when black women become successful, when they talk about, dismantling the cisgendered patriarchal system. In other words, aka the white patriarchy, which you live in. And I don't know if you noticed, everything built in America was built by white people. Okay, it was built by the labor on the backs of other people, but the entire structures and systems were designed by white people. So you do live in a white patriarchy. Don't confuse yourself. They want to dismantle that and replace it with what? What the black community is? If we look at the black community, what do they want to dismantle and replace the patriarchy that you live in with? Tell me. Because when black women get educated, what do? They generally hop the fence and go, what do they call it? Swirling. And then they happily live under the patriarchy of a white male. They'll be peaceful, docile, relaxed under the patriarchy of a white male, but they won't do it under that of a black male. They're not serious, bro. They don't give a damn about black lives. They don't give a damn. They just want to destroy black people. And if you look at the conspiracy theories, it's funded by George Soros, who is a massive globalist, and globalists are just as bad as any other SJW. And it makes sense that he would first and foremost target the weakest community for destruction. If they can do it to us, they can slowly repeat it with other people. And they're working on it with the feminist movement in the white community. It's slowly taking foothold. It looks like it's falling apart, which is a beautiful thing. But it was gaining momentum. It looks like the swing back is coming, which is wonderful. And that's why people are actually pro-Trump. Because people are tired of the social justice warrior agenda. And despite them knowing what they know about Trump and his contradictions and his statements, they want to see this social justice agenda destroyed. As do I. Hey, I don't know, bro. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm seeing this wrong. If I am, put it down in the comment section. Drop me a message. I know you talk to me on Facebook. You send me private messages. Let me know, bro. But this is my stance on these guys. They're horrible. And they're the last thing we need in the black American community. We can actually look at white people, and even if you don't like them, I don't have anything against white people in general, but even if you dislike them, you can say their system has worked, and you can follow it. You don't have to become them. You don't gotta, ick ride them, as they say. But if someone has done something and they're successful at it repetitively from generation to generation, you might want to look at it and say, hey, you know what? That system works. Let's try and use it. There's no need to try and reinvent the wheel. And there's no need to try and push an agenda and a system that we've seen hasn't worked for 70 years, yet and still they want to do it even more. Bro, this has nothing to do with black lives. This has nothing to do with saving black lives. And that's why I hate them. Because they're just using popular anger of a particular community and the guilty feeling of the white community to try and push forward their political agenda. And their political agenda is antagonistic, exceptionally authoritarian socialism. And if you don't believe me, look at, as much as I hate and I dislike Milo Yiannopoulos, go and look at how Black Lives Matter treats him at university campuses. Go online and look him up. Look at the way they act. They want to silence anyone who has an opinion that opposes theirs. And they'll do it using extreme force. They'll use extreme measures. Nothing reasonable, nothing civilized about their actions. One woman smearing feces on her body, attacking people, throwing stuff, screaming and yelling like just wild animals, man. And we're better than that. But Black Lives Matter isn't better than that. And yeah, we don't need them, man. We need solutions. We don't need more problems. Anyway, this is your man, Abuamerican. Catch me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Abuamerican. I'm out.